Hi, I'm Marcus, and I'm going to talk a bit about food. And being in Germany and following a very excellent presentation about sleep, I'm going to try to be even more clinical than the presentation that just was. I'm one of the founders of Lifesum, where we're trying to sort of fix the world with nutrition. I think this conference is super interesting because it says something about the state we're in right now. I've been in tech for a long time. I've never been to a tech conference with so many good-looking people as here. And I think as opposed to many people here, I didn't get into sort of digital health because I was particularly good at health. I was bad at health. I used to be in gaming, and suddenly I got sick. I had a fever for 7 months. I've done every horrible test a doctor can do to you. They thought I had cancer and pumped me full of cortisone. If anyone has done that, it's a fantastic experience where you get really fat and you go slightly insane. But in that era, I moved to Los Angeles and discovered holistic health and realized I'd rather be sort of applying the new learnings and the things that were happening within the holistic health movement into technology. And I think when hearing the presentations here today, I think we have three very clear trends. It's authenticity, what we're trying to figure out, how do we speak to a person in a way that they care? And I think this goes out through all of society where you don't really know who can you trust, and it's a challenge for technology. And also personalization, I think something that we're trying to do, all of us. Everyone is different. How can we, through technology, give them exactly what they want? And then I think also looking at what health is right now. I grew up in the 90s. In the 90s, the idea of health was having white teeth, a six-pack, and being quite tanned. I'm pretty tanned too, but I live in Los Angeles and I surf. That's the reason. But today, today's health is the new Rolex watch of society. It's status, it's identity, and it drills down into sort of what you eat. It may have to do with sort of religion playing a smaller part for everyone, so instead of having a god, you believe in ketogenic diet and CrossFit. And for us, we have a bigger trend in society where bad lifestyle is hitting the Western world like the modern-day plague. We're eating ourselves to death. The US is spending more money than ever on their healthcare system, but somehow life expectancy is not going in the right direction as investment. So bad ROI. 70% of all deaths in the US are related to chronic diseases. 75% of US healthcare dollar, which is a lot of dollars because it's the US, are devoted to sort of trying to fix this. The issue is a lot of them can be fixed by just living a bit better, eating better, exercising more, and sleeping better. And we see that science is moving in the right direction. Like 10 years ago, if you were sick, you went to the doctor and then said, if you felt a bit bad, and how can I feel better? They said, get out of here, you're not sick. And then you come back when you're sick, and then you get pills, and hopefully you get fixed. If David Beckham goes to the doctor, or say Cristiano Ronaldo, if he goes to the doctor, they say, we see your data, let's see how we can optimize you. And we're dreaming of being able to create technology that allows this type of performance thinking to be offered to soccer moms. There are things that are going into our directions. Who here are entrepreneurs? Everyone. Turbulence is great for trying to create companies. If everything is perfect, then there's no opportunity. If you have turbulence, you can sit in a basement somewhere outside of Munich and have delusions of grandeur and think that you're going to beat Johnson & Johnson. What we see right now is tech giants are moving into health and applying a lot of cash and a lot of sort of probably the best brains of our generation into trying to fix the problems. You have new science that is breaking ground, that are lifting specifically for nutrition. If you look back, the truths we've been told is like fat makes you fat. You should eat non-fat products. Now, published in The Lancet last year, they actually proved that sugar makes you fat, and fat doesn't really make you fat to the same extent. And also you see new consumer behaviors, where from the perspective of authenticity, you had all these big giant companies, like Procter & Gamble's, Nestlé's, and Unilever's, have perfected a model where they push food through TV marketing, through stores, and we always believed that this is big, I can trust it. Now, when we come into the store, we never heard of these brands because we don't watch TV, and then instead we see there's the big brand. It's a big big brand. I don't trust it. I take the brown bag from a brand I never heard of, and this is confusing. This is confusing and a lot of turbulence. And also you have the healthcare systems are being reformed, where the US healthcare system is going not into some giant machine where you just can throw a lot of medicine in and make billions, and instead we start paying people on the basis of delivering outcomes. Plan for this presentation, I wasn't allowed to do a lot of self-promotion, so here it is, Lifesum. 20 million in revenue, we're growing a lot. We're a tech company with 50-50 gender split, which is quite unique. And we have our offices in Stockholm and Los Angeles. We help people sort of track what they eat, drink, and exercise, and we get feedback on the way they're doing it by applying our sort of food and lifestyle algorithms that we built together with doctors and nutritionists to help you score. And allowing people to execute on their identity by sort of, if you want to be ketogenic, we help you be ketogenic. If you believe in high protein, we help you with that. If you believe the USDA has the right answer, we have that too. And we try to inspire you with great-looking recipes, well-designed, in a smooth user experience. And it actually works. We started looking at our product from a more scientific perspective and doing a lot of math, and we see that active users lose 5 kilos in 12 weeks. If we can become bigger, increase that a bit more, we deserve the Nobel Prize, because then we fix the world. For some reason, we work very well with millennials. Maybe that is because they have a different perspective on health. And being from Sweden, sorry about kicking you out of the World Cup, by the way. We don't have the capital that they have in Silicon Valley. We don't have the ecosystem, but we've always had since the get-go that we want to play in the Premier League, and the Premier League is among the Silicon Valley companies. So our business development strategy from the start was pretty simple. It was like swing above our weight class. What can we do that we shouldn't be able to do? So we were one of 40 apps that were launch partners for the Apple Watch. Google considers us one of the 5 best health apps in the world. We were best of Android Wear, and also do quite a lot in terms of working with Samsung. And today we have 30 million members, started out in Sweden, and then we said, let's try to make it in America. That was the self-bragging. Now, being as we're in Germany, I saw this as a very good opportunity to be highly clinical. So, how many of you eat vegan Wurst? You're kind of the world leaders on that right now. Germany is 2 years ahead of America in terms of vegan Wurst consumption, and you consume twice as much as Americans. In terms of other trends, you are unfortunately 1 year behind the US in terms of starting with acai bowls. And Americans consume 10 times as much acai bowls as the Germans do. And we know this because we have the data. We see how everyone eats, and we see how things progresses. With 30 million members, we also have 30 million eating habits. And seeing as where you live dictates a lot on how you eat. Right now in the world, we see 3.7% are vegetarians, 1.9% are vegans, and 4.3% are pescatarians. Pescatarians is like a vegetarian that eats fish. So, and we drink alcohol 1.5 times a week. We're pretty good at eating fruit and vegetables. We eat 100 overly processed foods a month, meaning we eat a lot of things that when you look at the ingredient list, you don't really know what things are. And we eat an egg every other day, but we are low on calcium. And we eat candy 3 times a week. Swedes eat a lot of candy for some reason, so we over-index on that. But then we can drill down into Germany. Maybe this has something to do with sausages. You eat 41% more processed meat compared to the rest of the world. I had it last night with sauerkraut. It was excellent, and the sauerkraut is actually very good for my microbiome. You do 1.7 hours of intense training per week, and you eat candy more than every other day. You eat less poultry, fish, and seafood, sausage. And you eat much more pasta than people in general, and less salad, sorry. And then if we drill down into more, I think, inter-country rivalry, yay, Bavaria has 10% more vegans compared to the rest of Germany. You eat more berries, fruits, and vegetables, and you drink a lot of juice. I think when we look at data and we interview people, men tend to think that juice is some kind of fruit when it's actually sugar and not so much better than Coca-Cola. You eat less cheese and even more pasta than the rest of Germany, and you like pizza. You do less strength training than the rest of Germany, and you eat even more processed meat. I think it's interesting when you see what people are eating. You can also see what they're not eating. So we had our data scientists look into what are you missing? How can we be very clinical? So creating a meal for Bavaria. According to our data, Bavarians have lack of vitamin E, and then something called pantothenic acid that I have no idea what it is, but our nutritionists say it's something to keep track of. And you're low on vitamin D, and you're low on vitamin K. So what do? You don't eat your favorite foods. You eat what data tells you to. You add some salmon, and you see things are getting better. You eat chanterelles, and it's getting even better. And you eat Savoy cabbage, and you're almost there. And then you add wheat berries and sesame seeds, and then you have a perfect life with no problems. The wheat berries and also the Savoy cabbage is good because you're also low on fiber compared to what the standard recommendation is. So according to data, this is the very plate you should be eating every day, which you can find in the Lifesum app. And I think this type of personalization, we're trying to build technology so this can drill down onto an individual level. And also, how do you build an inspiring product that takes into account that food is not only fuel, it's culture. That's like how we hang out with friends and what makes us happy. And we have done this actual experiment in the real world, where we've been looking at cities, and then we created the world's first big data juice in London, where we looked at what does the data look like for young urban professionals in London. And they drink a lot, and they don't sleep a lot, and they stress a lot. So we created this juice together with Crush. And then in Los Angeles, we partnered with Paletta, which is like food delivery of the stars. It's what Jessica Alba eats, for example. And created a data detox. And we also did one for New York, and we tried to create like a West Coast, East Coast battle. But it turns out hip-hop music is a better foundation for conflict than juice. But we did a data-driven chocolate in New York together with the chain Fika. But I think you need to create delightful products that drive motivation, and I think that has been a connection with what everyone says, because health is pretty easy. You just eat a balanced diet. You probably met someone that says things like that to you. You exercise. You sleep well and avoid stress, so don't do a startup. I've done 12 back and forth trips to California during this year. I don't even want to think about what that means for my circadian rhythm. Because even though health is easy, life is not. We make up all kinds of excuses, and we screw up on life every day. But I think like being at a conference like this is the first time I'm at sort of a conference with people that are actually trying to do things for us. And technology will be the solution. Thank you.
Would you be up for some questions?
Yeah.
If there's any questions coming up? All right. Any questions from your side? The whole time we've been forgetting about that, so...
Who wants to know the meaning of life?
No, you just want to wave with the card? Oh. Oh, he's been here a while. He must be hungry. That's why he's asking questions now. Do we have a mic? That would be awesome. Yes.
So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting the way you were drilling down from a German level to Bavaria, but obviously diet is something very personal. We've all got different lifestyles, different approaches to ourselves, our health and our fitness. Yeah, so how do you take it down that next level?
That is exactly what we're trying to do with the product. So when we talked about this, I wasn't allowed to talk about things we're actually good at, because that would be self-promotion. We monetize zero on this type of data because we're kind of incompetent with that. Our whole idea is like, how do we build technologies that is dynamic enough so we actually can give people the lifestyle that they can follow and build engaging user experience that uses the abilities that mainstream technologies has. Like if you look at what the technology your doctor had like 10 years ago, you can't really compare that to what's in the iPhone today, and you have it with you all the time. So I think personalization is how do you apply technology, use it in terms of software, use the hardware and the sensors. Every year they're promising like, oh, in the fall, it's rumored that Samsung is going to release some kind of sensors that is going to change everything. Non-invasive blood sugar, something that really measures your stress. I think we need to see, we're all on a journey where we're trying to save the world using technology, but we're all dependent on the technology that is on hand. I believe it's going to come, hopefully this fall, but probably not. It's just like, we keep building as good as we can, save as many people as we can, and then hope for the big technological jump.
There's a question over there. Ich hätte es auch gemacht. Weißt du, ein bisschen... Was zeigen, wie fit du bist, ne? Okay, got it.
Yeah, okay. So my question is about DNA analytics. So you showed some pretty good results already with weight loss, but now if you could add genetic profiling.
So you're not so blinded.
If you can add genetic profiling into your service, how much better results would you get?
A lot. Can you help us with it? We already do DNA partnerships as well as blood testing partnerships. But as a startup, you need to sort of live within the realm of your financing. And before you build some super advanced technology that will take 2 years, figure out if someone wants to buy the DNA tests so far. But you have DNA, you have microbiome, you have blood, you have saliva, you have hair. I think the technology is moving quite fast in many directions, and what we are a software company. We're good at making sense and packaging data into delightful user experience and scaling it over the world. So anyone that wants to work with us with our data and try to help us figure out more, or if you have a DNA company, please call me.
But just asking, like in between, do you really think that everything can be solved if, like, the entire DNA code is, this puzzle is solved? Because we just talked also about mindfulness when it comes about like the strength of your mind. Do you think this is also something that can be found somewhere in the DNA itself? Because sometimes people are just freaks of nature. Yeah,
I think DNA is pretty much what you start with, and then the rest, what you do, is your fault. So. And also DNA research. I don't blame my parents for my idiotic behavior. You still need to see what's your baseline, what do you start with. If you're born with fantastic DNA, then you have a different setup. It also comes in socioeconomical aspects. If you're born with educated parents in a neighborhood that is affluent, the likelihood of you getting better health is also higher. It's highly complex, and I think we shouldn't look for one silver bullet. It's about the world coming together and iterating into making things better.
All right. Any further questions? So I guess that sums it up. So once again, thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank you very much.
I've been here. I'll take this one with me. Thank you.